And now, the long-awaited main event. By the way, did you see that fly on Bruce Buffer's face on Saturday?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna have to send you that one. I'm pretty sure he posted it. But as he was announcing a fight, a fly was on his face, and he had to just be smacking it.
What a guy!
Pretty entertaining. Pretty entertaining. But yeah, main event here, man. Everybody knows about this one. It's Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor, round 2. Really pumped for this one. We actually touched on this exact fight in our UFC betting videos. So if you haven't checked those out, we break down exactly how to bet on a UFC fight. This is a great example because early on, all the lines were out, method of victory, round betting, all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't seen it, check out our UFC betting videos there. But yeah, touching on this fight, man, these two, they met in 2014. Conor had a first round knockout here, but this is a different version of both of these gentlemen here. So, this should be a great fight. Conor, he last fought in January of 2020. He beat our boy Cowboy Cerrone. I'm pretty sure that was with those shoulder shimmy shakes, right? I had never seen that before in my life, but that was pretty cool. So he knocked him out pretty early with those. And prior to that, we're very familiar with those losses to Khabib and to the GOAT in Floyd Mayweather. So, Conor's getting back into the ring here now. Dustin Poirier, he's been rolling. He's won 6 of his last 7. His lone loss again is to Khabib. So, no slouch here either. And his wins, they include Dan Hooker, who we're going to see on the co-main event, Max Holloway, who we just saw beasted up last Saturday, Justin Gaethje, who actually got the title fight against Khabib. So, a lot of credibility under these names as well. What a fight this is going to be, man.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hyped it as best as you could. I think it's everything you want it to be, right? It's the perfect rematch. Conor is obviously giving the right guy the rematch. He loves Dustin Poirier for all the right reasons. Great charities on both ends. There's a lot of good things coming out of this fight, and I think it also shows a little bit of the maturity that Conor's gained over time. But the big thing for me is I really like the idea that Dustin Poirier is going to get a chance to avenge that loss. Not only make good paper on a Conor main event, but he's going to get a great chance to really prove that, not only is he a better fighter from the first time, but all the stuff that people are saying about the belt and all that stuff, that's not true. He earned that shit. I think he earned that shit. And frankly, when people can't fight or if the UFC's choosing to take belts away and all that kind of stuff, that's not up to the fighter. You know what I mean? The fighter just does his job. That's part of the game. And so right now you're seeing pretty much the culmination of the most popular fighter potentially of all time and the guy that just kind of seems to work the hardest and has earned the chance to fight the guy. You know what I mean? That's kind of this is a title in itself, if you will. That's the beautiful thing about it. This seems like a mini title. And, I'm happy for Dan Hooker to be in the co-main event to get some exposure being on this card. That's how great this card is in terms of exposure and fireworks. That's what it's going to be. When you look at the numbers, these guys are fairly even, size-wise, takedown defense. I like to see that Conor is all, in the 70s. He's the real deal when it comes to just want to keep him the fight on the feet. And he's got that wide stance. Both guys are southpaws, those powerful lefts. And I think
footwork is insane.
Yeah, he's on another level, and it's funny because both these guys are phenomenal boxers. And I'm just going to totally stand up and show off what is potentially this is my wife's least favorite shirt that I own. I constantly find it in the piles that need to go to Goodwill and the Salvation Army, but I keep finding it and pulling them out. But here it is, baby. You know what I mean? Happy birthday to my guy all week. This is a week celebration for me. I love it. Get to wear it for something now. So, yeah, I think this is what we're going to see, right? It's going to be a showcase of phenomenal boxing. I think both these guys are going to choose to potentially keep the fight standing. I think in Poirier's case, it comes down to exciting fight versus, wanting to mix it up. I think that if you get tired or dizzy or knocked or just a little winded based on some of the strikes that Conor can throw, it's what he does to people. He's a freaking magician in there. It is what it is. We've seen him do it to a lot of guys. I think Chad Mendes on a full camp might have actually given him, for some reason, the toughest bout of his life. I think that was the fight where we kind of saw Conor tested the most. And I just, that's the fight that I always think back. Like, but you look at the record, like you can't even discount the man. If you're a Conor hater, I mean, at the end of the day, you might be a fan of some of these guys, but since he entered the UFC right in the beginning, Marcus Brimage, nobody ever forgets that fight. If you're a fan a minute in, like the guy, he just calls it all. Then he just goes, Max Holloway, and then the run starts, right? Brandao, Poirier, Dennis Seaver. That was the one where people question, like, how are you going to go from Poirier to Seaver, you know? Then an out-of-shape Chad Mendez, to, you know, to get a chance for the title, and then boom. We know what happened in less than 15 seconds on December 12th, 2015 at UFC 194. A lot of us were sad, but things change, and you have to move on with the times. And we did. And here we are. So, you know, I like Dustin Poirier from like recency bias, but again, I think Conor he knows the game. He knows fighters. When you listen to Conor talk about fighting, he loves it like you know what I mean? He loves it like I listen to him and I learn and I learn and I learn. And that's what made me like him more and more. I'm going to be honest. Everyone falls in love with the character and all that kind of stuff. But when you listen to this man talk about fights, like the guy knows the game. And to be honest, I think he knows Dustin Poirier. And we talked about the line. We already know what the line is, right? We know it's in the high 200s. And we know why that exists. It doesn't have to do with all the fame and everything. It has to do with the fact that A, he beat him already, and B, we might be looking at potentially one of the best strikers of all time in the UFC.
Yeah, he's legit, man. He is legit for all the, you know, hoopla and extracurriculars he provides, man. He brings the game, and you got to give him credit for that. So, you know, we've dove into the lines. We know he sits at a minus 275. Are you leaning either way on this one, man? I know this is a real tough one to call.
Yeah, so it's funny, right? Like I kind of just because of juice, and you know, a part of that Conor line is because of public play. You 100% know that. So yeah, I am going to be sprinkling on Dustin Poirier. It's not that I dislike Conor McGregor, but I will be taking the under in this fight heavily, and I will be sprinkling on Dustin Poirier to win this fight. That is for sure.
Okay, maybe a little sprinkle on a Poirier finish.
Yeah, maybe. You know, I see myself doing that most likely. That's gonna get done. That's gonna get done.
My man. Sounds good. So yeah, stay tuned for that one. It sounds like we might be sprinkling on the dog here.
Might just have to sprinkle on both guys. Like I can't lie.
Happy regardless.
Yeah,
a little juice to be happy.
Like let's be real. Like last week, same thing, right? Sprinkle on that Conor first round. All of a sudden, randomly. Remember I told you, devil entered my soul, and I was like, let me play one line. That plus 1200 randomly saved my night.
Amazing. So that was an absolute treat. That wraps up UFC 257. Enjoy the card this weekend, guys. It's going to be a real treat. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe, hit that bell button. Make sure you give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter. All our information is below. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. Anything else you want to touch on, Siraj?
Happy birthday to the GOAT. Peace.
Later, guys.